3 down, 1 to go in our inaugural day here at the MSI play-ins. And our final match is, again, some cross-play shenanigans. We've got Simplicity here representing the minor league side. Then, of course, Nemesis is going to be the team representing our console completionists. Over here, representing our analysts, is going to be Anatoly Alexeyenok one more time. And Toly, I'm excited about this one, because I think that we've had kind of different levels of name notoriety, different levels of even skill watching these matchups. We've seen some console teams succeed. Hype Unit has already gone forward. We've seen some minor league teams succeed. Shoutouts to Armada. And then, of course, Sanguine just now taking it as well. This one, though, I mean, you've got fantastic names on both sides of the coin. You're looking at MattKoiz. You're looking at ZachsyTDK, boys that have done it on the console scene. And then you look at Simplicity, and you're saying what up to Faeles. You're saying what up to maniaKK, ex-SMITE Pro League players. So everybody all aboard.
Can't forget Deathpanter, the mid player as well, coming out of Simplicity. That former Season 4 Elevate run that they did in the Super Regionals to qualify to Worlds, taking a shot at Zeros, stripping his chance at Worlds.
A little bit rough there, but for this set in particular, I'm excited. I think this one should be fun. Watching the console guys, again, our cross-play LAN, we've had different approaches to the game. All these players will be on keyboard and mouse, so making the adjustment here for the LAN should be interesting. Watching these guys go to it. Jumpah, and of course, Ryan Jarman. One of my favorite Twitter analysts, honestly. He's always given his opinion on the Pro League and the minor league. And it's always interesting looking at his take on the game because he comes from a different meta, a different league, sort of an outsider looking in. Now, here he is ready to go head-to-head with the leagues that he commentates on. So I'm interested to see how this one works out.
Up against maniaKK, not going to be an easy matchup at all for Nickwood. Jumpah, that man on your screen right there, the jungler for Nemesis, is a very aggressive jungler. Likes a lot of dodgy circuits, will play the Pele from time to time. Anything that has a lot of movement speed or mobility.
A real serious player as well. You know, don't get me wrong, this dude likes to have fun just like everybody else, but I really, when it comes to Jumpah, I admire his serious take of the game. I'll never forget that series way back when he was waiting for his team to qualify at the hands of a different team. This man stood in one spot, didn't say a word for over an hour watching this set go down. He absolutely, LAN is what he lives for, man, and I'm excited to see him play.
I think that was, in Season 4, Myth Gaming?
Yep.
And then the complete opposite was Inbound, Bobby, who was anything but silent or still, just all over the place, probably did a couple of laps.
Jumping on the tables. I specifically remember some of that nonsense. We'll see if Jumpah can kind of channel some of that energy here for today, because it's going to be a tall task. Simplicity, like I said. I mean, maniaKK, that's an SPL guy. Faeles, that's an SPL guy. Deathpanter, an ex-SPL guy, and pretty much our unofficial mascot of the minor league. I mean, these guys are the best of where they come from. And so for Nemesis to go head-to-head against them, it's going to be a tall task.
And I think that there's still some advantages to these other console teams because there's less footage of them floating about. Like, you could still kind of run into Simplicity more often in terms of the footage, how many matches that they've played. And I think that this is going to be important for all of Nemesis to throw a curveball. And we saw what happened in the last set where even though Sanguine did win 2-0, it was a close 2-0. Rival were keeping it relatively even up until that 24 minute mark.
And that's really what you're looking for, is the ability to kind of eke yourself out towards the end. Because you can have these early game strategies, but what we generally tend to see is that the stronger teams can kind of match and answer back. So if Genetics goes early aggression, well, we can see the same from Nemesis on the other side. So watching these teams go back and forth, I really think it's going to come down to late game shenanigans. If both these teams in game number 1 show us that they have what it takes to get through the mid and early, which I believe they do, I think both these teams are capable of it, then we wind up seeing who can kind of dance the better dance in the late stages.
It's going to be interesting to see how the drafts kind of evolve between a European SMITE minor league team versus a North American PlayStation team. How does that kind of translate into the battleground of the gods?
It's certainly something to think about. MattKoiz, a veteran in his own right as far as the console league is concerned. Watching them kind of, and this is really the fun. You know, there's a lot of conversation on Twitter, but really, I just want to see these players that have played in this league play against these players that have been in this league. So bringing them all together, certainly a great look, but you don't have to take my word for it. The coach for Nemesis standing by.
I'm here with Coach Koja Fox for Nemesis for PS4 NA. My first question for you, man, when you see Hype Unit, come out and have that performance that they had at the start of the day, does that add any extra motivation for you and the boys? So, you want to join them in that next round, or were you all 100% already wanting to be there?
We were already wanting to be there, but it's really nice to see a team take them out and show that console can compete with the PC, which is for a long time been thought not to be as competitive.
Well, on that exact vein, I feel like I might as well ask. There's been a lot more talk on Twitter today after their win from some of those other players. Do you all want to come out and show that you all can win too? Does any of that stuff factor in, or do you just focus on your game?
During the regular season, we showed that we were the best controller team, but now we want to show that we're the best team, and we're going to use whatever means we have to show that.
I think that's exactly the right mentality. Well, you have a team that has a ton of experience. I mean, Jumpah has won before. MattKoiz was just there at Worlds last year in second place. How is it for you as the coach when you're coaching a team with this much talent and experience to try and is it make it easier or make it harder in some cases?
It's really great because they all have a bunch of comp experience, so they definitely know what they're doing. They know positive attitude. Nobody's just going around yelling at each other. And then you get a lot of experience and feedback as far as what they actually want to do. They know what they want to play, and they know what they need to do in the game to win.
All right, well, good luck to all of you. I'm looking forward to a very good matchup here between you guys. Good luck in your match, and I'll get it back to the desk.
Koja Fox, great words from him there. Koja Fox, not Koa Fox, like I called him earlier in the season. But, Choli, this is one of the first times that we got a chance to see Koja Fox, on land and kind of talk about it. And call a spade. Obviously, I think he's a little bit nervous to be on camera, but I think the content of what he said was absolutely standout. I loved his answer to that second question.
Win by any means necessary. Yeah. And I think that's not only referring to the mouse and keyboard, obviously, but that's also referring to what they're going to bring to the table today. I'm expecting a lot of surprises from this Nemesis squad.
I love that quote. During the regular season, we proved we're the best with the controller. Right now, we're going to prove we're the best. That's Koja Fox right there, talking about how established his team is as well. This team has been around the ringer. They've been around the horn. They know what's going on. This is not your slouch console team at all. We're talking about how Hype Unit, the top of their game. Nemesis, pretty much the other team at the top of their game. Across the way, though, here's Danny Faeles. And it'll be him and the rest of Simplicity trying to take down Nemesis and see what happens. As far as Simplicity is concerned, what's your take on the minor league squadron?
I think they've been on fire recently. They started off a little bit mediocre. In the first 6 weeks, they went 3-3, which is, average, obviously, but then winning 6 in a row after the fact is what really surprised me to see how they kind of evolved throughout those weeks. And I think a lot of it came down to just a synergy, the build-up eventually, once Faeles got super comfortable with his supporting cast around him.
That's really the big thing for me is Faeles kind of stepping up, because for a long time we've seen him on some lackluster teams, and I have been, kind of critical of Faeles' performance in the pro league, watching him kind of get some time to figure out things at a lower level and really watch him kind of develop here in the minor league has been really, really powerful. Obviously, maniaKK, a pro player in his own right, kind of taking a big part of that as well. That solo jungle synergy, so important.
It's always good to see maniaKK here back in the action as well, formerly coaching him back in the Fnatic days, way back in the day. So I'm excited to see how he's going to be playing in the LAN environment again. That's
my homie. I like these guys. We'll see what happens, though. Genetics, the support player, he's standing by. Let's see what he's got to say.
I'm here with genetic support, obviously, for Simplicity. The first thing that I want to ask you all is there's a lot of hype that's around Armada, just as the number one team here in this pool. I'm sure that you all see yourselves up there at the top here, right? How do you all feel when you hear all that talk about Armada with all the changes they've been through?
That the thing about Armada is they're 5 strong players, so it's similar to us, right? I think we're the top 2 teams in this overall, and that's because all 5 players are strong. So it's good to hear, but I still think we're better than them.
Another thing I want to ask you about, just sort of as, the way that the draw worked, you guys are playing at the end of the day. It's been a long day and all these other sets have gone on. Has that affected you all at all, or do you think everyone's mindsets are still 100% fresh and ready to go?
No, I think we're all good apart. Maybe Streak's a bit nervous because it's first time on LAN, but no, we're all good. We're just been chilling out and waiting for our set to start.
Has it been difficult to prep for Nemesis at all? I mean, all of their games they've played, they basically won. No one's challenged them at all. So has that made prep for them harder, or are you all just focusing on your game?
It's a mixture, because the games we saw, we only see about 4 or 5 of their games on the new solo start meta, so it's kind of hard to tell. Right. And they only stream, I think, 1 every 2 games they play. So it's a bit difficult knowing what they play, but you can kind of get I don't know, they should be similar to other teams. But
Does seeing Hype Unit get that win early in the day make y'all nervous at all, or you're still confident you'll be able to grab the win here?
Oh, more confident, because they struggled a lot more than they should have done against Flashpoint, who had 2 off rolls and a player that really doesn't play competitive. That's his first game competitive at all, and it's on land, so it's more confidence for us.
All right, well, good luck to you all here. I'm expecting a pretty good match from you guys. Good luck to you, Genetics, and thanks for stepping by for the interview. I'll get it back to the desk.
Very, very confident there from Genetics, just talking about his own set, but watching what Hype Unit can do or couldn't do, in his words. So certainly an interesting look there. The support player from Simplicity, as we get ready for this next one. So Genetics here, very, very confident. Generally a confident guy. Little cocky attitude. I kind of like it. That's the type of stuff that I kind of lean into.
Sure.
If you're a bad guy in the league, I'm generally a fan.
I mean, he is the European Omega. Like, let's be real.
Whoa.
I mean, like, he kind of looks like it, is what I mean.
Okay, that's it.
So, yeah, from his words about the footage situation, it just didn't feel like they got enough footage or, like, proper footage that they feel comfortable relying on. But at the same time, Simplicity should be confident just playing their own gameplay. Even though Nemesis could potentially throw something a little janky,
Yeah,
I don't think it's something that Simplicity couldn't handle.
I agree. I think Simplicity in general is a strong team. When we look at Deathpanter can be a little bit waverly. I'd say, 8 games out of 10, he's going to give you this real strong standard, hard to knock down, but he can falter. StreakUp being a little bit newer to the LAN environment, as you heard Genetics kind of joke about, but that's real.
No, it definitely is from time to time, but with these players surrounding him, I think that'll be the support that he needs to be comfortable and be in a good position. And up against Zaxy, that should be an interesting matchup.
So Nemesis, right off the bat, gonna ban a Fafnir. An interesting turn right here. Simplicity goes to the Chronos. The Fafnir ban right away kind of deters double hunter compositions. MattKoiz, as classic as ever, being his anime self. When it comes down to it, the Fafnir and the Freya bans, right? You can still go double hunter.
Sure.
But you dream of the Fafnir 2 hunter composition, right?
I mean, that is the dream. That's something that Deathpanter used to do on Simplicity's side way back when with Elevate.
Which I think is a little bit, Simplicity, like we said, Nemesis has seen them play. Certainly something that they've done their homework about. Ban's done. Arlong Shen will be the quote-unquote throwaway ban here from Simplicity. Merlin's up.
Simplicity want a Muzen cop so badly that they're willing to give up the Merlin, actually.
Yep.
They really... Okay, Nemesis recognizing this are like, you know what? We're not going to try to do it like that. We're going to try to just take something away that you wanted.
Exactly, and I don't want to oversimplify Simplicity's approach to the game, but Deathpanter, ex-hunter, I mean, we always think of the hunters in the mid. He has a strong main concept, but I think it's easy to kind of boil him down to the old ex-hunter. The hover of Merlin should be a lock-in. I think that's absolutely the right way to go. This is Nemesis saying, Deathpanter, prove it. Do it. Do it to us like you've done it in the regular season. We'll see if it translates over here to LAN. Nemesis, who have grabbed the Muzen Cobb, one of the most highly sought-after picks here on our mid-season invitational play-in stage. That went to Nemesis first and foremost. Now, 2 more spots left on the docket.
This is where the creativity of the team's preparation comes into play. Now, is Nemesis going to go for a composition that revolves around supporting the Muzen Cop, protecting the Muzen Cop, or looking at ways of shutting down Simplicity's current draft with the Merlin? It's difficult to get out if you're focused, and that's where this Jormungandr is locked in. Very difficult to get away from that World Serpent.
I really like Jormungandr into Merlin. The blink is relatively short range, and despite the fact that he has that flicker, it's generally looked at, Merlin that is, as a low mobility character. And so Jormungandr can certainly chase post flicker and can continue to follow up there as well. Terra going to be the choice here for Nemesis. Just a strong pick overall.
Protecting the Muzen Cop, that's going to be the name of the game for Nemesis. Probably will be played on XCovi in the mid lane if I'm expecting that to be the case. Zaxy could potentially look to go for something else.
You couldn't see it. We were off camera. I made a funny face at Totally. I thought you meant Terra in the mid lane, and I was like, what? But yes, the Muzen Cop in the mid lane.
Wait, did I say Terra in the mid
No,
lane?
you didn't. That's all me.
Oh, okay.
That's all me, man.
Because I do that sometimes. I'm like, wait, did I say that?
That happens up here, and that happens up here when you're kind of thinking 2 steps ahead of what you're already talking about. And with the teams, you can kind of see that as well. You want to make sure that you know what's happening next, but lock in what's going on here. A Merlin and a Poseidon on the same squad. So Merlin almost undoubtedly in the mid lane. Poseidon we've seen flexed before into both the carry role and jungle Poseidon isn't a crazy thought. Well, most
You
people
love
will
jungle Poseidon.
I love it, but people will call me crazy.
That's fine.
So let's default to carry.
Sure, because StreakUp has played mages in the online portion.
Yep.
He played a little bit of Merlin. I think he might have had like a different mage. I can't exactly remember what mage it was, but he played definitely at least one, maybe even 2 games of Merlin.
Well, if he played the Merlin, maybe we'll just see him play the Merlin.
That could be it. Have Poseidon in the mid lane.
Yep. Certainly an option. Poseidon in the mid lane works out for me. I love the mobility that Poseidon brings. That's kind of why I always shout out to the jungle. This dude is fast.
Yeah.
And so making rotations to the left lane or the right lane from that middle position is really important. I like Poseidon center, so we'll see how it all works out. Second round of bans taken care of. And Simplicity banning out the Achilles and the Daji. That's a direct look there at Jumpah. Nemesis, on the other hand, 2 more assassins. Simplicity thinking about the mage rage with a 3rd mage.
Is this like auto chess or something like that? Are we trying to get some synergy going? Is that what's happening with 3 mages?
There it is. They're trying to lower the opponent's resistance right here.
I mean, that
will be a
does it though.
Horus.
Like, if we're thinking about lowering resistance, Clay Golems does that.
Stop it. Horus will be the choice for Simplicity. Honestly, one of my favorite support characters. I really don't like flexing the Horus in the solo lane. I prefer it in that support position. And so if that's where Simplicity opt to go, I think that's great. But the answer from Nemesis is perfect. Horus wants to knock you up, and Jing will fly away.
So I know Horus's ultimate like carries over player deployables and stuff like that, like the Artemis, right? But can it transport like a Kraken? Like, what if you're Kraken right before you take off?
Awesome.
I think you need Divios levels of hours in the gym. That the timing for the Horus ultimate is so elongated. You need to sit there in jungle practice with your teammates over and over again. The answer totally is yes.
That would be fun to see though, if you
Sure.
could do that.
When I look at Horus, the ultimate is almost a non-factor, believe it or not. It is really just the lockdown potential that he has in the lane and the absurd heal time. You can dash through the wall to your teammate. That's absurd.
That is true. Knockups are never bad either. Having a little bit of CC is a good thing.
That said, I think the Jingwei, like I said, fantastic answer. I think that was really, really clean. A Fenrir here selected by Simplicity. Make the dog go fetch, hit him in the head with a Kraken. That's an old school combo.
That is
They've
true.
been doing it since you've been playing.
That is very true, and it also discourages maybe an early blink for a jungler or Pele.
How so?
Instead of, like, because you're going to want to get
Beads.
purification beads to prevent the Ragnarok from putting you in a really bad spot.
I was automatically thinking of like auras and keeping people in combat, but you're absolutely right. The Fenrir kind of demands a bead selection here from Nemesis. So as I look at this, I think the Pele is an interesting choice. Pele is a character that the console community is still kind of loved and walked away from kind of in the minor league and the major leagues. Why is that?
I think it's like her mobility is good. She has a lot of good things going for her. The problem is you can't really rely on her lifesteal as much as you would probably want after a couple of nerfs.
Right.
Players were straying away from her. I think she's really lacking a lot of hard CC. She does have a good knockup, don't get me wrong, but like in order to really get full value of it, you're going to need to blink and use it because you don't really want to use your Volcanic Lightning as an engage tool to use the knockup.
You know, you bring up a good point there, Toli. You're talking about Pele specifically here, but I look at Pele, I look at Jingwei, look at Muzen Cobb. There's no real crowd control here. Like you mentioned, a knockup here or there, but it'll be interesting. Nemesis GG versus Simplicity. Game number 1. Let's get into it.
Thanks so much, Analyst Desk. Yes, it's going to be Nemesis up against Simplicity. I'm very excited about these two teams, Ryan. We've got the chance to see this at the end of the first day, and it's two teams on paper that I arguably think match up pretty well.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one too. There was a lot of hype for good reason around our first set, Hype Unit versus Flashpoint. That one came out with a console team victory, something that a lot of people are very excited about. I really think this one could be a sleeper, but it's really hard to say because I also think Simplicity has the potential to be the best team in the play-in bracket alongside Armada.
I can see that.
So does that mean I think Nemesis could be one of the best teams? Maybe. I mean, they have a lot of LAN experience. I'm excited to see how they match up.
And the matchup is where I'm interested in where the position of starting will begin. KOiZ will start in this dual lane up against StreakUp, and StreakUp forced to beads early there. Didn't want to take too much poke just off the walls. Meanwhile, Simplicity going to look for the aggression around the blue buff and look to steal away Niquid's blue buff here at the tail end. Might as well use that, you know, extra poison to help bring the buff down.
That's right. You get a little help for them over there, but at least Niquid gets a mini. I'm sure when Nemesis is practicing this start, they know that he's not getting blue.
Faeles is going to turn up and actually not have a cooldown to look for aggression, but now KOiZ is in trouble. The knock up into the Whirlpool, and KOiZ will be first blood. The shell may have bought him just an extra moment.
Just bad all around there. I mean, like I said, I was literally starting to say, when you practice a start, you have to know that Niquid's not getting his blue. You also have to know that the jungler is going to rotate over and start on the enemy red after the speed so that they can make sure you don't invade the purple. I mean, this is standard stuff.
This could get grim quickly as Faeles has managed to catch xCovi in the jungle. And with Genetics joining in, this could now be problems for Jumpah, who was looking for a turnaround kill. Instead, he's going to have to fall back for now. But already, Faeles has got a 2-kill advantage at only level 2.
So not only are they not prepared for the jungler to come over, then MattKoiz resets the purple buff long enough that it gets a little bit of health back, and then it's Faeles who gets the auto attack, which dings him too, which kills KOiZ. If you're committing, you're committing. If you're out, you're out. You make your choice, and it seems like Nemesis got really split, and it really cost them dearly.
Just carve the best of both worlds, and that's kind of what we saw Nemesis try to get up to. Very awkward of a situation there as we tune in with the solo lane now. maniaKK on the Osiris. He's been playing it since this god has been released, in my opinion. I don't remember a game where he's had a terrible Osiris game. And against the Jormungandr, this is an interestingly safe matchup for an Osiris.
Yeah, he likes it a lot. I mean, it's very hard for Osiris or for the Jormungandr to get away from you. Once it starts getting chain slowed, it's really hard to miss, to be frank, because he's so big, one of the biggest player models. So it's a good matchup for Osiris. And I love this mentality from maniaKK. Look, I don't think maniaKK respects anybody that he lanes up against, but particularly not Niquid, I'd imagine. So he's like, just give me Osiris and I'm going to run this kid in the solo lane. And that's that old solo lane mentality that I have a lot of respect for.
I have a feeling that when maniaKK doesn't respect someone, he plays even better, is what I feel like. Even if he's someone that he should be more respectful of, play aggressive, play your game, keep in that zone. And that's where maniaKK's always shined for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the old solo laner sort of mentality of we are the biggest, baddest dudes on the map. Not really the case anymore with the way that the meta works, but there are situations where that can be the case, and those spots where maniaKK can get big and get ahead and just really bully out the opposition, I think is a great win condition here for Simplicity.
Well, Jumpah was hanging around that blue buff on the right-hand side, but Nemesis chose not to try and contest Simplicity invading it there. Jumpah did have a bit of a lead there. You can see he's still got an experienced lead in the jungle, which is quite surprising considering the Faeles has got 2 kills so far.
Yeah, but Faeles has been having to kind of rotate around, defend buffs, invade buffs, be a part of kills, and that's time away from farm. You get farm by getting kills, and he's got 2 of them early on, which has been a real trend for Simplicity as Faeles getting big in the early game. He seems to get a lot of these last hits, and he's done a great job this year of making those last hits count. So it's a good start for Simplicity, but it does just take away time that where Jumpah gets to ping from camp to camp to camp and get himself some golden experience.
StreakUp and Jedi is going to return to the dual lane now. I'm just a little bit concerned about what Nemesis' game plan really is this game. I'm looking at the composition and it looks very, not discombobulated, but more about surviving and escaping and maybe reinitiating with what they've got here.
Yeah, I mean, they've got pretty good objective burn with the double hunter. You really like their potential around things like Gold Furies and Fire Giants. It's not really a bad idea. Their team fight isn't horrible. I mean, Terra ult is a really good band-aid for bad team fight compositions. Terra ult really does a lot for you. They've got easy ways to proc the Terra ult between the Pele dot damage from her 3, and the 1 returning shots, and the beads from xCovi. I don't mind the composition from Nemesis. I think it's completely solid here. I do think that they cannot fall super far behind early. maniaKK just gets to stack this Glad Shield, into Boots, into Blackthorn Hammer, into Midgardian Nail, and is 2 levels up on xCovi and Zaxy every fight. I just don't know that they'll be able to chew through that Osiris protection and health and damage mitigation that he gets.
It's a dream scenario for an Osiris to be against 2 hunters as well, so definitely plays into that. When you look at the rest of Nemesis' squad, it's going to come through the physical characters, especially with a Pele in the jungle. But hold that fort in the sky. Genetics is looking for a play with the ultimate here. Won't actually find a target, but will dunk down onto the blue buff, which is a nice, easy pickup with Simplicity to steal away. Faeles, meanwhile, going to get aggressive in the jungle and make sure MattKoiz can't make anything of it. And that's actually going to get no out of Nikwid, who was trying to make sure his team was safe or potentially make a play off that. Not going to find anything here, though.
Jumpah still has ultimate, no beads for him anymore because Faeles burned that Ragnarok. Jumpah, I think, wants to keep this going.
Just looked for the aggression there, but didn't really find anything. Mainly a fight over the Harpies, and with that, everyone falls back. Gold differential is about 1,500 gold at the moment in favor of Simplicity. Experience marginal at best, but at the moment, Simplicity have really looked to pressure this blue buff time and again.
Nikwid hasn't gotten a single one yet this game because of that start that MattKoiz on the left-hand side. They get StreakUp speeds, then they don't even get purple. They get punished for it on the first blood. It really has been a good start for Nemesis. And I don't know that defending blue is necessarily the call. Maybe you try and pull a Gold Fury as soon as you know that blue timer's coming up. Problem is that Simplicity's done a good job of controlling oracles, which gives them that all-seeing vision around that Gold Fury. StreakUp's playing a character that has pretty decent steal potential on the Merlin.
And you mentioned vision. Look at the vision on the map right now from all these wards placed down. Both teams trying to vie for control of the jungle, and on the left-hand side, it's definitely Nemesis that have an advantage at the moment.
It's a really good illustration of what each team's game plan is. Simplicity's all about invading these blues, so they've got all this vision on the right.
Mid lane, no, cracking onto Jumpah, and he couldn't jump away from that. I'll tell you that, as Panther just hit straight after the fracture from genetics that caused so many problems. Everyone underestimates the stun shred.
I don't know why. It's insane.
It hurts.
You really should not be underestimating that ability from Horus. His lockdown is phenomenal. It's just a good abuse of Jumpah without the purification beads. Faeles got them on the back harpies. Genetics has been a real initiator for this team. Not only this team, but that old Insignum squad as well. Never afraid to play aggressively, and I think that's the perfect time to do it. Looks like he might be maxing the two. Can we actually take a look and see what Genetics is maxing?
Well, let's just see how this blue buff goes first for Nikwid as we check in with that. He is maxing the two indeed. Blue buff invested, but straight away, Nikwid going to use the ultimate and force Simplicity back for now. However, 2 shots down out of the World Serpent will probably put some pressure back from Simplicity, but Nemesis are already there to pick up the pieces.
That's fine. Nikwid's already got cooldown boots. He's not going to get the cooldown. Well, he gets cooldown from the buff.
Jumpah under pressure again, picked up in the Ragnarok and bursted as hard as fast as possible. Even the ultimate from Koiz won't keep him alive, and the shell was used as well. Jumpah just falls down and just pinched more than anything else. A good wall placement.
Yeah, I think XCovi got a bit distracted there with Deathpanter in mid lane. I'd imagine that XCovi had good positioning to be able to rotate in and affect that fight. And just a swarm over the wall gets Faeles in the dirt alongside Jumpah, but I think Deathpanter may have kept him busy there in the mid lane. I do not like this start that XCovi went for. He went for Mage's Blessing and Boots 1, and I do think Mage's Blessing is the right call on AMC, but I think you really need that extra little bit of power from the Transcendence 1. Sure, he's gonna go for the boots right after the fact, but he just feels so far behind already because he's got no power.
Genetics throwing down the taunts there after getting the beads out of XCovi. I don't think XCovi would have used the beads if he felt safe in that situation. Just knew it was only going to be the Horus there. Sure, he would have took a ton of damage with the updraft after the fray, but it wasn't going to be enough to get a kill. But the beads now consumed means that B in the mid lane is going to have a bit of an awkward time again for the next minute and a half.
And Genetics didn't even expend the blink. I mean, this game has really been very well played so far from Simplicity's support. Everywhere that he has gone, Simplicity has looked to play very aggressively. And that's really the mark of this team, is that they really play around where Genetics is at any given time.
And that's one of the things we've not really had a chance to see out of Horus so far as well. I've been a big proponent of this god, but we've not really seen it come to fruition in the Pro League yet. Polar Bear Mike has flirted with it at times, but a bit of a flirting onto Koiz here, who will dash away. Still gets hit by some of the Kraken, and StreakUp is on point. Now Jumpah in, trying to make something happen, but all he does is find himself a quick trip back to the fountain. As a couple of members of Simplicity are low. The World Serpent comes in from Nikwid, but can they find anything?
Wow, he's actually going to commit for this. Genetics blinks in, immediately locks him down. See ya, Nikwid's dead. XCovi does put Nemesis on the board,
sure,
but maniaK's going to put him back and down immediately after.
That could be a Gold Fury right now, I think, if Simplicity realized they had the window, but instead, looks like they're just going to take the win in terms of the kills here. I feel like it's a dropped opportunity for that Gold Fury, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. That felt like a pretty good spot for me, but maybe with Deathpanter being very, very low, they're worried about
Jing.
Zachsy flying back in on the Jing Wei. That was really the only person who could even come close to contesting. But I don't really know how Zachsy gets out-rotated that hard to his own red buff. I mean, Simplicity was standing there for a decent amount of time. Maybe he had just backed. Looks like he may have to get Devourer's Gauntlet at that time and was flying back to lane, didn't see them there. just a bit of a slow response from Nemesis. And I feel like JumpahSZN's really trying to get this pace going, but it's not in the right fights. It's the mark of an experienced player to feel the game slipping from you. You can feel, hey, if we don't get this next Gold Fury, or we give up 2 more blues, we're going to lose this game almost certainly.
So I've got to try and make something happen now.
Exactly, and that's usually the right thought process, but I think that JumpahSZN's been a bit too hasty on that trigger. It's getting to that point now.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that point now where you can't give Simplicity such a big lead that you just can't sit around and wait at this point.
Well, some of that has now been created because JumpahSZN's been playing the way he has.
Exactly, and I think that, again, I'd rather see players get that feeling and try and make a play than roll over and give up every buff and give up every fury and just lose, you know, in a 9-2 game or something like that. It really does mark that he has a game sense to him, but it just hasn't been good fights from him yet.
Experience is definitely a big factor in this one so far. Sure, gold is always huge in the early game, but these experience leads are making a difference. There's a fight on the left-hand side breaking out here again. Deathpanter still has the Kraken available if he needs it, as the pressure is on StreakUp there. All relics still available for Simplicity as they look to invade. The red buff will be secured by Nemesis. Genetics at the tail end won't be too worried because he can always jump to a teammate with the surge, get himself out of trouble as Jumpah gets aggressive on StreakUp once more.
Love the way that StreakUp's placing these Dragon Fires, often at his own feet as a, you can come and get me if you want, but you're going to take a lot of damage. In the meantime, JumpahSZN probably had a decent option there to jump on him, but didn't.
Nemesis under pressure, needs some help, but rooted and CC'd in place, no one around or close by. And that was just not realizing where his teammates were or how much of a situation Nemesis had of a pincer maneuver there to find themselves a second kill. Good pick from them, but they don't get anything else off it.
No, not yet. I mean, Deathpanter has Kraken, so it's so scary to try and go for a Gold Fury with that ability being up. Even StreakUp being level 13, he's got a decent amount of damage. And it looks a little bit odd that both StreakUp and Deathpanter have the Spear of the Magus, and a lot of times you'll hear me say you don't want to overlap things like this. They won't stack together. You're only getting that max amount of Spear of the Magus ticks. But this item is so key on both of these characters. If they're ever not near the other one and they don't have a Spear of the Magus, they're really neutering their own damage. So I've got no problem with this at all. They're just so key to what the character does that I think it makes some sense.
Definitely does for now, and now we'll see what the game plan's going to be from Simplicity here. Still no Gold Furies taken down, but they've not had to play through that so far. They've managed to find pick after pick that has kind of catapulted them into this lead with how it's going. And as I mentioned, no Gold Furies done. Well, they're on a Pyromancer right now. Uncontested, no one really noticed on the side of Nemesis, but I think that was the same sort of window as when the red buff was around spawning. Nemesis was trying to secure the left-hand side of the map.
I like the way that XCovi, I know I didn't really love his start, but that last red buff defense was very good from him. He just takes Deathpanter out of the fight entirely by full comboing him without a lot of setup, it felt like, and Deathpanter kind of just has to hit the horse and get out of the fight. Keeps him from using Kraken in that engagement and really does keep Simplicity at bay. So he's starting to find his footing. I like the way he played that red buff fight, but he's got to be wary about where Genetics is because this character in Horus can really lock you down. Even if you have some degree of mobility, AMC really can have a tough time, I think, in this matchup.
I will say, I think just against Poseidon here, the whole Nemesis team are not going to really enjoy dealing with that Whirlpool at all. Obviously, the Kraken that'll come after it will cause problems too. Realistically, you're only really looking at Jumpah that might be able to speed on out of the Whirlpool at best case scenario. And Deathpanter here going with a Shaman's Ring, not going to go for a Gem of Isolation just yet. Shaman's Ring definitely a core item we've seen on Poseidon as time's gone on.
Yeah, you basically want to build it every game. I don't know about right here.
Blink stun onto MattKoiz. MattKoiz will get his ultimate off in time as he gets picked into the waiting mouth of Faeles. Panther will secure the kill with a Whirlpool, and the reinforcements for Nemesis are there. They're just a little bit too late to the party.
Yeah, a little bit of an odd blink from Genetics, but
It was.
It
did
got
its
the job
job.
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, watch out.
Bit of a play towards this left-hand side. Now as the Horus ult is in 3.
What up, dog?
But he went for the big play and tried to dunk down perfectly. He did get the ultimate out of Jumpah, though, defensively, so that is a good win overall.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where you hear the Horus ult and then you turn your head a little bit, turn your camera, and you see 4 people. You're like, I'm out of here, man. I'm not dealing with that.
Not me. Gold Fury, though, has been started by Simplicity. Not going to be a contest out of Nemesis at all. Even with maniaKK making that rotation over here, Nick, we're going to try and proxy farm. Might be able to get that tier 1 tower, actually, just through that minion wave. But the teleport is coming up with maniaKK relatively soon. And he will be back in lane in time to probably defend the tier 1 tower. But he will lose at least his blue buff.
Looks like the tower is going to stand.
on Liquid's side of the map because Maniacs will not. It falls down.
To the last minion. That's what you got to watch out for. The very last minion is always the one.
Because they get angrier as their friends die.
Do they? They enrage, is that what you said? That should be what we do with minions in the wave.
Well,
Maybe
imagine
that's a
fire
mid-season update.
Dude, fire minions doing that.
Fire minions, they just get angry and angry,
Yeah,
or just glow flamier and
Oh,
flamier.
man. No, thank you. That's scary. I mean, I don't mind too much. I play mid most of the time, but for Guardian players, you already have enough of a tough time.
Tell me about it. It sounds like you've been playing a bit of support just lately by the sounds of that, where you're like, yeah.
Not by choice necessarily, but the matchmaker will do what the matchmaker will do.
It does, and it will. Even if you click fill, it'll randomly give you support. It doesn't make sense. It's whatever. You can put support and fill and still get support, but under fill. And I'm like, okay,
Right,
that
you're
makes
like,
sense.
Yeah, you didn't get it that time.
Logic. 60 minutes in, though, and already Simplicity of showing what they're bringing to the table here this week. They've had a good way to get themselves into this lineup. Is XCovi going to get knocked up on the updraft? Genetics just keeping him busy as Deathpanter and Faeles get a nice bit of freedom on that tier 1. Opens up the mid lane map a little bit more. Now MattKoiz is here. Will get a route off on 2, but as soon as he jumps in, it's Faeles that jumps over him onto Jumpah and forces Jumpah to beads and ult.
Jumpah really has not been able to play aggressively at all this game. Pele really needs that. She needs the ability to be the aggressor. It's not like Pele where she used to be able to really counter-engage very effectively. I think totally put it pretty well on the desk. You just can't rely on that lifesteal as much as you used to with this character. She's much more of the initiator. If you kind of use that lifesteal as a last-ditch effort to get out of the fight instead of staying in it.
Jumpah going to go aggressive on Deathpanter, though, is on the rotation. Through the ultimates there, Kraken too! And the Kraken sustain from Genetics might just be enough to make it a 1-for-1. Deathpanter will fall down to Zaxy, but now Zaxy under pressure as well. He's going to fall back towards XCovi, who needs some help himself. But Zaxy, who chose to go towards XCovi, presented himself as a beautiful target.
Yeah, you got to split up in that spot. Zaxy kind of serves himself up on a silver platter and Faeles. Eats, that's for sure.
To the sky goes Genetics once more, looking for a prime opportunity. More than anything, he's just buying time and closing the angle off to stop Nemesis from responding to this tier 2 tower that's slowly being chipped down by 3 members of Simplicity.
Yeah, these ultimates from Genetics haven't exactly been inspiring, but I don't think that
scary.
Sitting around and waiting for the perfect Horus ultimate, you're going to ult like once a game. I mean, you just won't get a chance to use that often. Use it often and just get it to, like a Giannis portal almost.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Genetics does in that spot, and I have exactly 0 problem with it. I think it's the way you should probably be playing it right now. Will teams be more adept in the future at really breaking this ultimate, which has incredible potential? Almost certainly. But until then, may as well put it on cooldown. Doesn't do you a whole lot of good sitting in the bank.
Completely agree, and I think especially around times before the 20-minute mark when objectives are neutrally down, so you don't have to worry too much about them, you might as well throw it around and try and put the enemy team on the back foot. Liquid, though, going to try and steal away that blue buff on the right-hand side and make something happen. He is level 17, which is a good situation to be in when you look at the plus Maniac, who's only at 16 right now. But look at this. Simplicity on the Fire Giant. I don't think Nemesis know what's going on.
They might, but I don't think they feel they can contest it. I don't disagree with that, if that's the thought process. I mean, no second relic yet for MattKoiz, no beads for Jumpah, no beads for XCovi. I don't think there's any way they can go there and contest the Fire Giant.
Nemesis get a tier 1 on the left-hand side and will get the tier 2 as well. For a second, I thought they were just going to trail off after the tier 1, but the teleport is down on Maniac, so he wasn't going to be there in time to defend that one. Instead, it's Simplicity trying to make something happen on the right-hand side against Liquid here. As XCovi on the rotation may have just been picked. Where'd he go?
Gobbled up by the Kraken, an early Aegis there from XCovi, but it's because his beads were down, he knows he's going to get chain CC'd, knocked up after the fact, didn't think he'd be able to get it off in time, and ends up getting caught in that position. It's a tough one, man. Nemesis drafted a composition that in the mid-jungle in particular should have been able to get very aggressive, and just Genetics being in their face constantly, Faeles being in their face constantly, Deathpanter rotating around, playing an early game slanted god, has really completely prevented any idea of aggression from Nemesis. And once you put a composition with Pele AMC on the back foot, it's hard for them to get back on both feet.
And now with a pre-20-minute Fire Giant for Simplicity. I was going to say Gold Fury then, but no, it was a Fire Giant. They took
they got one of those
for
too.
a Gold Fury. Yeah, and now they've managed to take down all the towers as well. Just that one tier 2 remaining in the mid lane. And boy, oh boy, what a time to get an Oni Fury, right? 20 minutes and a Fire Giant already?
Yeah, this is a great time to get it. Oni Fury, I think, is the
least consistent Fury in terms of exactly what I want when I want it. But when it's good, it's really good, because now Simplicity just pushes up all the waves. They should be kind of fanning out, put pressure down each lane, and then meet up around the tier 2 and mid. I wouldn't even mind someone like Faeles or maniaKK pushing the wave into the mid tower and then just rotating to a Phoenix right away. Oni wave will take care of a tier 2 for you at this point. Just try and keep pressure on the side lanes and the other structures of Nemesis.
Well, Nemesis have at least pushed out their side lanes for now to keep the pressure off for a minute or two as Simplicity group up as 5 men towards the middle area. With a couple of minions in here, it won't take long for that to fall down now. And the question is, do Simplicity split the difference? Do they push out the side lanes? Or do they look to take a fight right onto this middle Phoenix?
Seems like they're opting for the latter. I do think that spending 30 seconds on the way up to push the side lanes, they clearly didn't need the help in mid lane, would have been a bit better, but hindsight's 20/20. We're here now.
Simplicity really looking to close this out quick. Aggression up to MattKoiz from the stun, but Kraken from Deathpanter didn't hit anybody, and Nikwid on the front side of things has bought enough time to now maybe reinitiate with the World Serpent. Faeles has used the Ragnarok too. This was a failed mid lane attempt from Simplicity, but they're not backing away just yet.
No, don't forget that this Simplicity roster doesn't have a good tower killer. They don't have a traditional ADC. They don't have a Polynomicon on either of their characters, out that they should, for the record. But that's the only way that you're really doing damage with magical characters on tower deck.
Genetics trying to tackle the front line, but as you said, got to be careful that there's not a lot of people to really whack away at that Phoenix. See the pings on the left and right coming down from Simplicity. That's them saying, hey, keep this pressure in mid. The Oni minions will do the work for us. Genetics channeling the ult, thinking about where he's going to pop them, and it's going to be to the left-hand side with the Oni Fury minions too. Deathpanter gets low, but Jumpah gets even lower as maniaKK takes him down. maniaKK still in the mix with the Lord of the Afterlife causing problems too, and MattKoiz gets taken out by StreakUp on the Merlin. Still though, the Phoenixes are alive, and that's all Nemesis really care about at this moment.
Netix blinks in, finds the beads away from Zaxy, but the rest of the team, they're on the Phoenix.
But can they get it down in time is the real arguable question. They will at the end, because nobody else from Nemesis will turn up. The right-hand Phoenix too, look at the damage done to it. And you were asking about the Horus ultimate and when to use it. That was well played.
Love it. And I kind of love the arrogant, like, you don't know where we're going, but we're going somewhere.
I thought they might have gone up and down for a second. Talk about up and down. Faeles jumps on in onto XCovi, Ragnarok into the Whirlpool, and that's a dead little B one more time. The World Serpent's trying to dissuade them from attacking the Phoenix as maniaKK will force the Jing way away. But a Kraken to Nikwid's skull will rock him into game number 2, I expect, as this middle Phoenix is getting very low.
Man, but there are some low members of Simplicity too. maniaKK, Faeles, Genetics, all a bit weak. Deathpanter and StreakUp healthy enough, though Deathpanter got kind of poked there too.
Always got some sustain with this Horus being around. People will underestimate it, and the Phoenix will fall down. Now just a weakened one on the right-hand side, but Simplicity won't get overly greedy here. They'll fall back into the jungle. Maybe get a cheeky pick if someone's rotating in. That's what this is setting like. It's a trap!
MattKoiz gets stunned. No Ragnarok, though, available for Faeles, but this is a bad fight for Nemesis.
MattKoiz will get his ultimate off, but still falls down to maniaKK in the trap. It was lackluster, but it still worked. They won't find anything else in the jungle, but I think there's a window for Nemesis to look at the Fire Giant here, potentially, as Genetics will go back to base 2.
Oh, got him. StreakUp still here. Good ultimate coming from Jumpah, but he still has Aegis.
And now with Zaxy coming in too, Faeles under a bit of pressure, but escapes thanks to the Whirlpool from Deathpanter and picks up the life of Jumpah too. Nikwid gonna have to rotate to the left-hand side to deal with fire minions now. And Simplicity really have this game by the scruff of the neck right now.
They really do. I mean, where did Nemesis really go? They're down by a ton of gold, like 15K. Simplicity starting to finish builds in their entirety at this point. Nemesis still needs their 5th item. Some players still need their 4th item. Looking at MattKoiz, it's a tough spot.
Something definitely tells me though that when Faeles got that second kill of the game very, very early on, I feel like the heads kind of dropped a little bit on some of the members of Nemesis, and it started to just continue where they feel that they were out of this from that moment on, and they're already waiting for game 2. You can kind of see it in the body language, the play style, what we're seeing in performance here. I think they're just ready to move on to the next game.
Yeah, I really think that MattKoiz looked pretty dejected after the failed purple. But Koiz has always been a player that, you know, doesn't hide his emotions, and I think that that's a great strength for him for sure. But it doesn't surprise me that the duo lane has not gone particularly well after that start. Not because necessarily of emotion or mental state or anything like that, just that that's a hard pill to swallow.
Here we go again. You can see him in the air looking for a place to land. It's going to be in the mid lane, actually, where they're going to pressure. And they were hoping Jumpah would just walk up forward a little bit further than he did. So now they'll return back to the right-hand side. Simplicity, remember, middle Phoenix on left already down. Just waiting on the minions to turn up here to help them bring down this Phoenix. Remove the backdoor protections, but Genetics can tack it up for a while if need be.
Level 17 for him, so he's really got all the time in the world. He still has Frenzy, but it isn't upgraded, and that's a big deal. That upgraded Frenzy does make a big difference over a standard version.
Maniac goes to the back man, looking to pressure Zaxy away, and will do just that. Jumpah's there to support, as is XCovi. But if there's 3 members dealing with Maniac on the back line, who's defending the Phoenix? The answer's no one. And now Simplicity get what they came for, arguably, in the Phoenix.
This is classic Maniac, man. Just running it down, walking at your ADC.
He's Osiris too, right? So
Yeah,
he's like,
exactly.
well,
It's perfect for him, man. He just, your ADC's going, please help me. He's standing there menacingly.
and then your other ADC goes, no worries, I got you. Oh wait, it's Osiris. So your jungler goes, oh, I got you. Oh no, wait, I'm physical too. We're having a hard time. Nickwood will at least get the World Serpent off. The up-downs are going to cause problems for Deathpanter. Meanwhile, Koi's getting very low, as is Zaxy, but Zaxy will survive, as will Jumpah for now. The Titan could be a different story. Nickwood soon to fall to Faeles. It's 20-3. Simplicity looking as good as we expected.
Jumpah in trouble. No ultimate for him at all. StreakUp doesn't have the range on the Vortex, but Simplicity just going to group it up and wait. You get the little shield from the Horus ultimate, and now they're going to start their siege.
The shield is already down as the
that
initiate
wasn't
on
great.
the Titan anyway. And now the Whirlpool's coming through. Jumpah going to try and flank around the back and get onto Deathpanter, who doesn't have an Aegis available. Deathpanter nearly went down, but the Trident will stand tall now, as will Simplicity. Game 1 goes to the boys of EU.
That was pretty clinical from the boys of Simplicity, and that was impressive from them. I think the Horus pick really worked. The ultimates, not so great, but we don't have to worry about that when the rest of the kit is working so well for Genetics. Deathpanter was in the right spot, only one errant Kraken from him. On the other side from Nemesis, I think that you either have to change up the comp or you have to play a better early game, because they not only did the buff invade on the left-hand side go very, very poorly for them, but they didn't defend a blue until 10 minutes plus in. You just cannot afford to let Nickwood get that bullied and not get anything on the left-hand side. Nickwood was doing fine. It's not like he was feeding or falling super far behind. It's that Maniac was getting all this farm, and Jumpah was getting farm taken from him by Faeles. It just was difficult to climb back from.
It's more to do with the core that I'm looking at there. You just saw, you know, Deathpanter alongside Faeles, alongside him, just all having a good time, so it made it a lot easier for Simplicity. The side lanes didn't have to do too much. The desk is standing by, though, to break down game 1. We'll see what we can see come out next time round from Simplicity.
Simplicity this time around, we saw exactly what was going to really come out of this team, and it was just pure dominance. I will say, not as dominant as Armada was earlier this day, but almost, really almost. I mean, this team looked really, really strong coming out here. You heard the commentators. Nickwood had a rough time. I mean, everybody kind of got jumped on.
I think everyone just, from Simplicity, threw off Nemesis at the end of the day. Having to go for the early beads coming out of the Pele was not something that I think Jumpah wanted to do to start off the game, not allowing him to make those plays and rotate over to the dual lane to shut down StreakUp on the Merlin.
0-7, 1-4, 1-6, 2-1. I usually yell at people that leave assists off the KDAs, but for the moment, my illustrative point is just a ton of deaths, man. This is the simplest analysis really you can do, is that Simplicity simply killed Nemesis more than Nemesis killed Simplicity, and it was that much of a problem.
And I also wanted to talk about the item selection. There was a lot of mobility coming through Simplicity. It was the Winged Blade coming out of Maniac, the Talisman of Energy coming out of Faeles, the Shaman's Ring coming out of Deathpanter, Genetics even having Shield of Regrowth, and another Shaman's Ring coming out of StreakUp. Just overall way more movement speed than the side of Nemesis.
Smart itemization coming out from Simplicity. You saw Jumpah, like you said, 0-7. It's really his job to kind of get this one going. And, you know, you saw Simplicity really pay a lot of attention to that solo side of the map. And like Ryan said, Niquid didn't exactly play miserably. He just got jumped on, and that's all well and good. How does your team respond? Either you answer that pile on the other side, or you win on the Gold Fury side. Nemesis did neither, and that was a big problem.
And also, being able to survive that early gank coming out of Faeles without the return kill was so easy for them to be able to really capitalize and snowball, utilizing the Horus ultimate rather effectively, throwing Nemesis for a loop.
Yeah, you know, I was talking earlier right here on the broadcast saying Horus ultimate is not what we expected. Like when we saw it on patch notes and we saw, you know, we expected like, oh, 5 players are going to jump out of nowhere and like gank you. That's really not what it is. It's this long, drawn out animation. But right there, we saw Simplicity really utilize it well. What it was this Horus, all right, we're in the middle. Are we going left lane or right lane? We will be there faster than you, and that allowed Simplicity to look towards those Phoenixes. So intelligent use of the Horus ultimate, something that I said would be difficult to make use of, and they absolutely did.
Surprise tactics is a good way to get any sort of competitive edge. We were listening to the Nemesis coach talking about winning by any means necessary, but it felt like Simplicity was doing that very well with the Horus ultimate and also utilizing this early aggressive Fenrir to its fullest advantage.
Here we've got game number 2 on the way. Simplicity will have the first pick and the first ban, of course. As we look towards our stats at the bottom, Achilles has been banned almost every game in the console league against Nemesis. So we'll see if that continues to go in that direction. Simplicity did so last game, so we'll see how this one works out.
I haven't really seen Achilles quite often at all whatsoever today specifically, so I'm a little curious to see if that's going to be a direction that they take eventually. But I think that eventually we'll see more often once the meta kind of pans out.
Simplicity here selecting the Jing way overall. And over there we see the Fafnir ban. There's the Arlong Shen ban as well from Simplicity. So we'll see how this one works out here. Nemesis, one more selection. The Muzen Cobb has been numero uno in a lot of players' minds. We'll see if that's the choice here. Again, Nemesis talking it over. What do you want to go up against as you see the Fafnir banned out again? Genetics Fafnir, really? That's scary.
It really is. I'm assuming Nemesis is going to ban away the Freya yet again with the Fafnir, leaving the Chronos, the Muzen Cobb, and the Merlin up. So whatever Simplicity takes, Nemesis will be able to take 2 of the 3. Now, I don't know if Nemesis plays Chronos and Merlin the same way that Simplicity do.
Right.
So maybe Simplicity just locks... Okay, I was going to say Muzen Cobb.
Well, there's the Chronos first and foremost. So Nemesis does have access to the Muzen Cobb and the Merlin, both choices if they want to go mid lane, and then of course long lane. The first selection should be coming in a matter of moments. And so with Nemesis over here trying to figure out what they want to do, Jumpah is silent, so I doubt it is the jungle selection. We'll see where they choose to go in response to the Chronos.
And Nemesis having the last pick could potentially look for a counter pick option in the solo lane. maniaKK drafted the Osiris very early in that first game, actually first pick alongside the Merlin, so we'll see if that's another option that he opts to go. It's very difficult to really shut down maniaKK.
It is. I mean, that's the Portuguese powerhouse, right? This guy has been he's done a number on the Pro League for years and years, and here's stepping down to the minor league. Danny Faeles trying to discuss what he wants to play. The Fenrir came out in the jungle last game. This time around, we'll see, as his choice has yet to be revealed. Merlin, though, will be the magician in the middle lane. Most likely, I mean, StreakUp literally played it last time around, so we'll see. Hi, Ryan. Just waving to the camera.
Oh. I like that logo.
The Simplicity one?
It looks like an evil eye looking at you.
I don't see that. I see like a power button. Let's see how it works out. Hachiman selection here. Very safe. And perhaps more importantly, doesn't tell me anything. Merlin is specifically in a composition that you generally try to protect your mage a little bit more. But Hachi, I don't know anything. Hachi can go absolutely into virtually any composition. He doesn't lean necessarily one way or the other, and that's the important part. He doesn't tip your hand.
No, not really. I mean, you could potentially look for another basic attacker in the jungle.
Sure.
Kali, Bakasura, Arlong's banned, so you can't do that. But the other two are still open and willing.
Simplicity on the clock. Opwash being thought about here for the mid lane most likely. As maniaKK will change his mind. Looks like the Terra might be the choice for our sleepy Portuguese man. Is he falling asleep over there?
He might be.
Well, he better not be if he's going to play Osiris. That's a character you got to be awake for. You want to play Shock Maniac? You can throw your axe and fall asleep for 8 seconds. Go ahead, man. Osiris, on the other hand, wake up. Especially if you're going to be across from Camelot, man. King Arthur.
A lot of cooldowns to worry about from King Arthur's perspective. Osiris having very short timers on those cooldowns, so he'll be spamming away to rush towards the Gladiator shield between these two aggressive warrior soul laners.
Now into the secondary, the final phase of bans here. You can see Simplicity giving it a discussion. Nemesis on the clock right now, opting to figure out what they want to take away from Simplicity.
Thinking about probably taking some either mid-mages or hunters away. Really surprised to see a Muzen go this far without being picked.
Exactly. If I'm Nemesis, I'm going, oh, wait a second. AMC is still available. And they could get, yeah, just ban it. We're lucky we made it this far. All right. So Simplicity are sending a message. The Terra and the Osiris more important to them than the lane dominant AMC.
Well, I think that they made a calculating decision of not picking it up for themselves, wanting to get more safety factor between the dash and also the cavalry or the mounted archery, just to be able to get away from all of the action that's happening. And Simplicity going to take a shot at Jumpah with the non-Jha ban. Not surprised to see that. He is really the glue that holds Nemesis together, it feels.
It certainly does. It can feel like that at times. In order to win this game and bring us to a game number 3, though, Nemesis is going to need the entire team. So that's a really, really big deal here. Poseidon banned out by Nemesis. Simplicity on the final ban here of game number 2. Very vocal from the jungler on their side. And one more time, the Achilles ban. We didn't see it last time. We won't see it this time either. Nemesis back on the clock.
What if Nemesis drafts Nemesis?
Cool.
And then Jumpah changes his name to Nemesis.
Oh, no.
In the middle of the game.
That would be... Once upon a time, we had a Southeast Asian team get on my level with Get on My Level as the captain and GOML as the solo laner. We also had a Freya who played support for a guy that named Freya. No thanks. I've done it. Also, shoutouts to Faeles, who once named himself jungler and then moved to middle lane.
He did do that.
Yes. So I'm good on all of that. Thank you very much. Ganesha will be the choice for Nemesis. And we'll see how the silent elephant, the Loxodon, will work out.
See, people don't think of these things of like how to troll casters, but like before, yeah, in my days, I'm like, all right, how do I troll the casters?
Yeah. And now you're like, oh no.
No, definitely not.
Karma has struck back.
It has a little bit. Because I was there with the whole jungler days as well, with Faeles, the Freya days.
Yep.
Yeah.
A long time coming. The console scene against the minor league. What a cool event, you know. I know there's been a lot of conversation, some positive and some negative. I am all positive for once in my life. And here, I think it's just, can I just be blunt? I think it's that damn cool to see different leagues go head to head. You know, it's a crossover event, man. This is what I want to see. I want to see the Addams Family featuring Scooby-Doo, and that's what we're getting.
Different styles, right? Like different identities. Thor was so successful for Hype Unit earlier in the day. Not so successful for Rapio out of Rival. And
very successful for Armada.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely successful for Solo or Troll, for sure. Simplicity, though, thinking about the global Anvil of Dawn.
And the King of the Jungle, who ironically doesn't play the jungle all that often. But on her will turn into a Pele. And the Thor will turn into an Ullr. And we'll have a double hunter composition one more time, as Chronos is a hunter in all things except technicality. Nemesis looking for one more selection, and it should be a jungler. I don't think a Merlin or a King Arthur jungler is going to work out anytime soon. And the Hachiman, well, you should just leave that one at home. And anyone asking for a Ganesh jungle, go to the doctor. Daji will be the final choice and the jungler.
I was going to say either Hunbats or the Daji, trying to get more crowd control under Jumpah, and this is a good look. Being able to disengage, being able to use that powwow as you're getting time stop potentially is another good way of escaping. If you have the blink and you don't chain anybody, then you're able to at least use that blink as a defense mechanism.
Character that we've seen banned away from Jumpah as well, not just here, but during the regular season. Jumpah plays the Daji to a very high level, and so this is certainly a character that he and his team want him to do well on. For Nemesis here, Toli, I'm putting my foot forward. I need to see Jumpah get really, really strong early on. Daji's not a character that I expect to see ganking the lanes early. She's not an early game character, but if the idea from Simplicity is to kind of hassle this jungler, protection needs to be had, and also you can't let Jarman get beat up like that.
Yeah, you really can't, honestly. But the draft from Nemesis makes a lot of sense in terms of the Turn of Fate from the Ganesh, the Heavenly Banner from the Hachiman. There's a lot of objective burning potential from Nemesis.
I like it.
They just have to put themselves in that position. If they have about a 5-10 second window, these Gold Furies will melt like butter, so Simplicity need to have their eye on the prize.
Simplicity, on the other hand, looking to close this one out right about now. We'll see if that'll happen to the casters.
Thanks so much, Analyst Desk. And yeah, we will see if Simplicity can close this out in 2 games. MattKoiz, though, at the beginning here, going to have to prop his sprint straight away and move those little elephant legs as fast as they'll take him away from the danger that is this Simplicity roster that was on the same side of the map.
Yeah, Koiz probably could have at least made maniaKK hit him with the slow first, but better safe than sorry, I suppose, in that slot. I just don't know. I don't love Nemesis's prep coming into this, because you look at what Simplicity's done, and when they started looking like the best team in Europe, it was because StreakUp started playing like one of the best ADCs in Europe. And what did he do it on? He did it on Chronos, and he did it on Merlin. He gave him Merlin game 1, giving him Chronos here in game 2. I don't know. I just think that Genetics has played well on every pick. I don't like banning the Fafnir, though. That has been a premier pick for him. Keep StreakUp off his best 2 gods. I think that was a better choice. We'll see. Maybe they've got a plan for the Chronos and they feel more comfortable with it.
Well, supports have started in the solo lane, which we've seen a little bit more of this year. At the blue buff is where Simplicity are now, looking to steal this away from Nemesis. But can Nemesis secure it? The answer is no. It will be stripped by Simplicity, as Nemesis just kind of watch on there, unable to do anything about it. Osiris superior at the level 1.
It's not even the Osiris, it's the Terra confirm, actually, that does the most damage, and he sees anybody who's going to try and barrel stuff it. I think MattKoiz has got to try and just toss out an odd turn of fate from that position, but he got a little bit too close, got stunned, never got a chance.
And now the fight continues as the Q drops straight away for Simplicity as well. And back to the wave we go once more. Meanwhile, keep an eye on what Faeles is doing here. He's kind of pinched in this angle. We're looking for a rotation out of Jumpah or potentially XCovi, but the red buff was already stripped away and unable for him to steal. And the back harpies too, so a bit of wasted time from Faeles there, although this pathing may set up something potentially onto Zaxy.
Especially if StreakUp bakes himself out a little bit here. If I'm StreakUp, I want to step up, try and get the minion wave on me, take some damage, and let Zaxy think he's in a good spot to play aggressive.
Instead, Faeles is just taking a long time, and that's allowed Jumpah to rotate around the back too. And the 2 junglers will meet in a flurry of blows between them. Both have health potions though, so I'm not too worried about a kill just yet, as Faeles will get the better end of that trade.
That's just Pele in the early game. I mean, Daji is great in the later stages. She's got 100% scaling on just about everything she does after you add in the passive damage. But the problem is, in the early game, she feels pretty weak. And so that's why you see Faeles try and play aggressive at this point in the game. This is where he's going to have the advantage over the Daji. Now, worth noting that Zaxy did decide to play aggressive once the jungler started fighting. He actually stripped away StreakUp's Purification Beads with a good EI Jutsu stun. So then maybe that opens the door for Jumpah to come over, maybe Zaxy to take it himself from this position.
I want to talk a little bit about Merlin in the mid lane as well. Like, we've seen a lot of him this year. Sure, he was very strong and potent and first pick potential or first ban. He's drifted a little bit off that, I would say. He's still in the upper echelon of picks at the moment. But is he still as warranted and required as people are making him out to be?
Yeah, he's really good. I don't think there's much contention there. I mean, the objective burn nerf, where the objectives no longer were affected by the prot tread of his Fire Stance 2, was a massive nerf to him at a pro level. And it really does hurt his viability. Maybe not viability, but hurts him from being the premier god to have in your draft. He just fits really well into a lot of drafts because he's got a lot of buttons to press, right?
That's true.
I mean, he does a lot in the mid lane, so usually gods like that will continue to stay viable for a little bit longer. I think that Merlin will continue to be prioritized, but not by everyone. I think there will be some mid laners that'll kind of take him or leave him. Wouldn't surprise me to see other mid laners try and pick up some newer gods in the mid lane to try and counteract him or something along those lines.
Fails back to this left-hand side, looking for a gank from Zaxy, but guess who else is here? It's Jumpah once more. I think they both sniffed each other out a little bit there on that gank, although Faeles seems to think he's still safe from being known there. That stun inadvertently did hit Jumpah, and that's a ghost line for Faeles, who's looking for the knock-up after the fight, but won't find it. Instead, just a bit of poke on Jumpah, and that's all it'll be for the time being. Purple's available, and they'll fall back to get it. Or will they? It's down, sorry.
Yeah, I really like the way that Zaxy's played this lane so far. He hasn't been scared of StreakUp. He's been poking him out consistently. It's exactly what you want to do against the Chronos. Keep his HP low so that even if he rewinds, he's not getting a whole bunch of health back. You just revert back to that point in health 8 seconds ago. So I think Zaxy's done a good job thus far.
This definitely feels a bit better for Nemesis in the first few minutes. Sure, they're not 2 kills down, so
sure,
that's an obvious sign to you. But at the same time, I think that's what they kind of needed this game, is to get into the game and not be at a deficit from minute 1 and start to make sure they're on the same page and ready to fight when they're on their terms.
Yeah, I mean, it's better for them, but they're still down 800 from just invades here and there. Nickwood continues to struggle to get blue buffs so far in this set. You've got to prioritize that blue buff for King Arthur in particular. That's where he gets to dominate the lane, is when he gets to spam his ability.
I was going to say, because isn't this like expected though, in the fact that the pressure that Simplicity have on the board here is a little bit more potent than what Nemesis is bringing to the table in the laning phase?
Yeah, I mean, Ullr mid is going to out-pressure just about everything. You have to expect that this Ullr is going to be able to out-rotate StreakUp, or excuse me, out-rotate XCovi. I just see Merlin and I think StreakUp.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a blue buff spawn right here. Where's Jumpah? Coming out of base. I mean, you just have to, and Nickwood's responsibility is to let him know the timer from when maniaKK leaves and comes back with the blue. This is a dead giveaway that your blue just got done, especially when you see genetics here on the coup. So this has got to be Nickwood's responsibility to communicate that when his blue timer is going to be up, and then hold his teammates hostage. You know, I will throw away your toothpaste if you don't come to my next blue buff. You're in a hotel together. Do whatever it takes. Give me my blue buff, or else. That's all I'm saying.
Steal the toothpaste? That's pretty rough.
Yeah, that'd be it, right? You know what else would be really rough? Not getting a single blue buff for the first 10 minutes of both games.
Man, you sound like you've been playing solo lane now too. maniaKK gonna get ulted by Nickwood, but just more damage check than anything else. This Faeles gonna get aggressive on this left-hand side, trying to pressure onto MattKoiz and Zaxy again. Zaxy at level 7, still matching the pace of StreakUp though in this duo lane. And a Hachiman is someone that we see now and again, mainly when the top tier hunters are off the table, like the Jing.
Yeah, I think Hachi is still one of the top tier hunters.
Yeah.
I mean, I really put him alongside Jing as the premier physical hunter right now. I think that when you get a lead and have the ability to try and solo your opponent, Hachiman is just so good at it. He can play defensively when necessary still, he can play safe, but his ability to turn up the gas and really hit the jets is almost second to none in the ADC role.
We're excited to see where the build goes for Zaxy as this game continues on. At the moment, still no kills in this one, but enough action to at least whet your appetite for the continuation of this. Jumpah trying to stay carefully far forward up against Faeles and Genetics here, waiting for Koiz to turn it up too. We're talking about Koiz turning up, well, so did Deathpanter as the wave was pressured in. Now XCovi in action as well. There's the Adamic Pillars down from Koiz as Jumpah and Faeles still trading out, and Faeles just got, well, basically pincer maneuvered and split apart from his 2 teammates that were alongside him, and first blood goes the way of Nemesis.
Nice job by MattKoiz there. He zones out one half of the fight with the Dharmic Pillars, turns around, silences Faeles as he was probably trying to get that ultimate off. To be honest, I don't know how much the silence really did because he died during the cast and ended up not using purification beads in order to get away from it, but it was enough disruption, I think, from Koiz's silence to stop Faeles from having any attempt at being able to survive. But it was a good fight from Jumpah as well. Not going with the Talaria that we see everyone go for. And I like it on Daji. I mean, I think she really does benefit from the extra movement speed. It's a ton of extra movement speed. The MP5 is great. But as I was saying, Daji scales really highly. Give me all the power I can get on a character like this.
It's one of those, Warrior Tabby is one of those items that people always just carried on building and didn't really think about why they were building it. It's Warrior Tabby, it's what it does. It's a hell of a lot of power on Warrior Tabby that people don't really notice most of the time.
No, especially when you're trading up against someone who has the Talaria. But at the same time, you got the Warrior Tabby and then someone with Talaria starts running away from you and you're like, oh my god, this guy's so fast. I mean, how do I ever catch him? It's definitely a double-edged sword, and I think that Talaria is stronger than Warrior Tabby in the jungle right now, as a general rule of thumb, but I like that they're both viable.
Axe out from Deathpanter there, and the hail of arrows as well comes into play. Fails over the wall, is poking away with damage as Nickwood still keeps maniaKK busy in this lane. That matchup, I don't think we'll see a kills there in that solo lane unless some junglers come into the fray on mainly around the team fights. But MattKoiz going to need an axe again. Get poked below half health. Simplicity, we're all positioned around those oracles there. Not for the Gold Fury, I think they were looking to try and bring somebody into the fight.
Actually has to use the ultimate genetics really all over him with that CC alongside StreakUp, who's now gotten himself a bit of a lead by solo. He's been getting reds and purples all by himself. Zachsy has had to share some of those. Kovi's been taking the reds on Nemesis, so you know that Zachsy's not getting that solo farm like StreakUp has been.
Interested in the build from Koiz here, going for the magical defense earlier on. Especially in the comp he's against, I'm a bit surprised that he's gone for that instead of maybe the Thieves option.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be an Oni Hunter's garb. I saw Inbound building it earlier, I believe, and so maybe that's a team that they've been practicing up against, and those two supports have come to the decision that they really like that early tankiness that it used to provide. Still does, just not as much. I agree, though. I think that when you're getting hit by Pele, Ullr early game, I'd really prefer some physical defense, but especially with Deathpanter, you know he's not going pen early, he's going Transcendence, so that protection would really help you.
Unless the plan is to try and maybe gank pressure StreakUp a little bit as this game goes on in the early stages. We'll see. 9.5 minutes in, still no Gold Fury is down at the moment. A very cautious affair, realistically, from Nemesis. They have a kill lead, but that was because Simplicity were the aggressors. And they're trying to wait for Simplicity to make a move to try and answer it back. And here is a move from Simplicity now. This Gold Fury already started up and below half health.
Yeah, it's gone. I mean, Zachsy, I don't know if he didn't realize where they went or what happened. Genetics did use the ultimate near the mid lane just to make sure that he's safe and sound, but you trade Terra out for Gold Fury 7 days a week, no doubt about it. That is a Zachsy responsibility. When Gold Fury gets taken and your mid laner couldn't have rotated in, your support really couldn't have rotated in, Zachsy's job is to keep track of where his lane opponent could be at any given time. That's the same for any lane. It's not exclusive to duo lane. But when the ADC is going to be the one that most time has to start it up, you gotta look at it.
StreakUp getting get knocked up in the air. Use the rewind very early away from the Dharmic pillars. Full commit from Nemesis there, 3 members strong. And all engagement tools were actually used by Nemesis there, so there wasn't any further follow-up. But a small win, knowing that the rewind's not going to be available.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see Zachsy use that ultimate in that spot just to force the beats.
Nickwood needs his ultimate potentially now to buy himself a bit of a window of opportunity to escape the Allure of the Afterlife that just connected to. Fail's going to pop the ult as well, and Nickwood only had enough for the stun ultimate, but it was enough to maybe get a kill, not in time. Just one more tower shot. May have actually done it onto Faeles there, but a good gank from Simplicity. Talking about ganks, it's Nemesis' turn.
Really nice job here. Silence on the Deathpanter. Still very patient with that leap. Will leap towards his team. Good attempt on the blind pull from Jumpah. Just can't find it. That's a tough one.
Deathpanter would just fall back happy as Larry. Didn't even have to use his beads at the tail end of that on that parallel too. So Nemesis tried to make something happen, just didn't end up working out. And because of that, Simplicity still owed a comfortable lead.
Look, all I'm saying is, if Nickwood hadn't gotten so many blue buffs stolen early game, he wouldn't have had Boots 2 during that gank. He would have had Warrior Tab-Eye. And if he has Warrior Tab-Eye, Faeles is definitely dead, and maybe maniaKK too. That's all I'm saying.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? Oracle's on the left-hand side, though, going to go the way of Nemesis, as XCovi will rotate round for there. Red buff is spawned and has spawned for Simplicity. More than likely going to Panther. No, they're going to give it to StreakUp, actually, in that duo lane. Interesting.
They've been doing it all game, and it is an interesting choice because I think Deathpanter has real solo potential right now on the XCovi. I mean, he's hit one of his biggest power spikes. I think Ullr is at his strongest as soon as he gets right around this level, but then gets Crusher as well. Once you max your 1 and your 3 and you get your Crusher, it's kind of hard to find a stronger spot for him. He's going to get a little bit weaker as the game goes on. I don't think Ullr is as bad in the late game as a lot of people say. Really just have to be very wary of when you're in bow stance versus axe stance, but the proficient Ullrs will make that a near non-issue against most teams.
Beautiful Pyromancer take from Simplicity, though. They even put the ward down, clear it out. Left-hand side, Jumpah's trying to make something happen against StreakUp. StreakUp still has to rewind, and Jumpah doesn't have any health left. He's going to run away, and there's not a lot Zachsy can do to stop this. Jumpah with the rope-a-dope, but it's not enough to survive. StreakUp 2v1s there in the duel lane.
Yeah, I mean, he's up 4 levels. I mean, I don't know how we thought that was going to go a whole lot differently there for Jumpah. Just took too much damage and then jumps to StreakUp instead of jumping to Zachsy. Maybe if he jumps to Zachsy and turns his camera, he could have ended up far enough away from that stop time to not get hit. Not an impressive get on the duo lane.
with that, the pressure just continues for Simplicity there. Great play from individual play from StreakUp, though. It tells you a lot about why people have been talking about StreakUp in the last year or so.
Yep.
A lot of players in Europe brought his name to our attention. In the same sort of vein that Dardes was mentioned once upon a time, and well, you know how good he is.
Yeah, Dardes panned out to be a phenomenal SPL player. StreakUp has been having a meteoric rise, really. I mean, like I said, he really found his stride towards the middle of the season, and as soon as he did, Simplicity really looked like a completely different squad. Having that extra win condition alongside guys like maniaKK and like Faeles, Genetics continues to improve. This is a really, really strong team from top to bottom.
Simplicity pressure on the tier 1 tower. Niquid forced away. Blue buff is up and available to be taken. Genetics actually going to go and pick that one up. Actually, as Faeles has already dropped it down. Well, this is all starting to work out very well for Simplicity now. And speaking about Pele a little bit more for Faeles here, he did go for the Soul Eater, so that lifesteal that we were talking about a little bit earlier on, it will be there this game.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Soul Eater in general, but I think it's still pretty good on Pele. I like it in games like this where he's off to a lead anyways, so the lack of power that you get from it early on isn't quite felt as much because you're getting so much power just by being ahead. But with levels that you won't miss that power spike that you normally get in this third item slot, and by the time that Jumpah may catch up to him, that Soul Eater will be done, and it's a massive power spike.
Genetics actually taunting and baiting himself into a very aggressive position here. Paolo has been used to try and pin him down, and he doesn't end up getting pulled in at all. The Dharmic Pillars after the fact, though, will bring him down, but a lot of investment there to kill Genetics. StreakUp now going to zoom on in. He's looking to go. Stun will connect with MattKoiz, and Panther going to jump in and then change his mind straight afterwards. Teleport from Faeles, was that? Was he just a blink over the wall, actually?
Yep.
As he's looking to close the gap on Koiz, gets one, and xCovi has to Aegis away. Faeles still giving chase, and this should be a double kill for the Simplicity jungler.
Zaxy needs some extra damage here. I don't know if he has his dash up. Simplicity, the rest of them already took care of the Primal Fury. Zaxy's trying to get something going in their favor. Niquid just got chased down and killed by StreakUp, and Zaxy will have to give up the chase. No good deed goes unpunished there for xCovi. Love the idea, tries to step in front of that Volcanic Lightning ultimate to save MattKoiz, but that does the big splashy damage behind him and doesn't really help in that situation. StreakUp going to get a bit of free time on this tier 1 tower thanks to that minion wave and maniaKK being there too. So there's a little bit more gold into the coffers once more and stretches it out a little bit further. 7,000 gold at 15 minutes in. This is a big, bad situation for Nemesis to be facing here now. It really is. And the biggest difference that I'm seeing between Hype Unit and these other console teams that we've seen so far today is that really Hype Unit down to the individual skill, it just seems like we're much more evenly matched with Flashpoint. And I think Flashpoint's one of the more talented individual teams that we had, especially when you look towards the jungle. And Layers just outplayed Johnny today. And no one from Nemesis or OutCold or Rival, I think, really outplayed their lane opposition, especially in a big matchup like the jungle was in that one. And I really think that's been the difference. I mean, Jumpah has had a rough set so far, where you look at the impact that Layers was able to have in the set before. I mean, that's a huge difference.
Definitely feels Jumpah's not on his confidence right now. That's what it feels to me. Even the gank in the duo lane where StreakUp got the kill 2v1,
yeah,
it felt very much like he's just not feeling the moment right now, and he needs to find it soon. I know it's a big ask, but this is tournament life on the line at this point. Simplicity, group it up 4 strong on this left-hand side.
I mean, not to harp on it too much, but when you get 17 minutes in, you haven't landed a dodgy ult yet, it's not going to go well.
That's fair.
You really just need to hit it.
MattKoiz going to go in the jungle and put a ward down real quick and see this army of Simplicity just roaming around, looking for an opportunity to find a pick or even a buff in the jungle. The red buff isn't up for a while. Genetics going to take the crazier option of path in here more than anything to try and force a fight, and forcing a fight he may just do. Beads were used there. I'm not sure by whom.
Both.
Was
both
it
Genetics and StreakUp. Yeah, so that time Jumpah hits a very nice ultimate, is able to get both duo lane members. Fortunately for him, Genetics had picked up Purification Beads at level 1, so it wasn't even really that susceptible.
And now maniaKK going to walk on in and drop the tether down. Dharmic Pillars used by MattKoiz, but MattKoiz getting very low. Lord of the Afterlife from maniaKK just a little bit too delayed, and now he may end up falling down. It's Niquid who gets credit for the kill. Faeles, meanwhile, though, will get a double kill on the back of this fight. Pele coming in clutch when required. And I really do feel Genetics baited very well there. He is very clearly telegraphing the bait, and Nemesis are falling for it. The dodgy parallel being used means there's no real other way of engaging outside of Dharmic Pillars.
In a good ultimate from MattKoiz, it dissects the team fight pretty nicely. I just don't think that he's able to withstand this physical damage. Again, he goes for Genji's guard early on, which is just an odd pickup. First item on Ganesh. I mean, I can't recall the last time I saw a first item Genji's guard, especially on a character like Ganesh. Usually you see this on characters like Hell Solo that really want to get their cooldowns up as much as possible. Tyr, we see it on King Arthur, where you just want to be hitting buttons all day. That's not really Ganesh for you, so I think Koi's really lacking that physical protection.
Against, like we said, 3 physicals he's going to be dealing with a little bit more often than the magicals. Simplicity, they're going to go for another Fire Giant attempt. I say another because the last game, it was relatively early as well. That game was a little bit earlier than this one, but this is still a pre-19-minute Fire Giant for Simplicity. Nothing else up in the map in the objective sense around the middle area, and it's just tier 2 towers remaining that could end up getting sieged down relatively quickly now.
Can you tell that Simplicity's been watching some SPL games? They win a fight, Genetics backs, picks up a Frenzy because he hadn't backed before after hitting level 12. They walk right to fire and just slam the button and say, hold this, and no one for Nemesis shows up.
And maniaK's just going to keep 4 members busy where possible. Dharmic Pillars in place of the Lord of the Afterlife. Tier 2 tower will fall down the right-hand side now as the minions were pushed up. Faeles has now pushed up the pressure into the mid lane. Genetics going to go back into action in the jungle, looking for the rotation from Nemesis. Ultimate used by the Terra here to try and preemptively stop some of the damage and put a bit of pressure onto Nemesis, who are trying to relocate to this middle tier 2.
Man, it takes him no time at all either. I mean, you've got an Ullr and a Chronos. Chronos, the best character in the game at killing towers, so you already have something, and then you add in a Deathpanter Ullr with some flat pen already in the form of the Crusher. Good luck. Those structures aren't standing for long.
And now Nemesis trying to work out what they do next. Do they take a jungle fight? Do they try and defend a tier 2 and left?
I don't know. I mean,
you don't sound like there's many options, Ryan, with that, input.
I mean, there's a level 20 Chronos on the other side, who's 3-0 and 3, and no one from Nemesis is level 20 or really even that close to it. ZachsyTDK's level 18. He actually sold his Hunter's Blessing just to get a chin size as a last-ditch effort to try and kill maniaKK or Genetics, I imagine, but that doesn't seem particularly likely. Normally, my thought process goes, would I'd rather take the fight on the tier 2 down our current amount of gold, which is 14,000, with them having Fire Giant? Or would I rather give up the gold from the tier 2, some extra gold around the map, so we'd imagine 19,000, but on a better defensive stand of the structure of the Phoenix? I guess the Phoenix is worth more than an extra 3K on the other side. Actually, I don't even know if that's true. Normally when we see just enormous gold leads like this, it's over already. Like everyone has already finished their builds. That's not really the case for Simplicity. They still have a lot of items to go. Maybe this is the better fight. I don't know.
I will say I love this play from Simplicity, though. The timing of this Oni Fury going their way means this is an Oni Fury wave on the left-hand side. Middle and right are also going to have an Oni Fury wave, which means there's going to be pressure on all 3 Phoenixes around the same time. And Simplicity can commit a little bit heavy to this left-hand side now. Koi's going to get rooted by the wall for a second. But look at StreakUp and look how quick he can take down a Phoenix, cancel that, take down a jungler, then the Phoenix, and rotate round to the left-hand side. Simplicity are looking to book a place in day 2 already.
Nickwood gonna follow Jumpah very, very quickly. Fails doing what he can, but he needs some extra life steal. That Soul Leader could come into play, but the rest of it, Nemesis just has to back it up a little bit too quickly. Left side Phoenix down. And I don't think Simplicity needs to go anywhere else but here.
Well, there's a minion wave with them, and with ZachsyTDK falling down there, there's only Koiz and xCovi to defend. Koiz is going to try and get back to the fountain and regen. He regens enough to stay alive as StreakUp was looking for his life. But the rest of Simplicity are on to the Titan, and they're on to day 2, as they will advance as the only European team to do so here so far.
Deathpanter's tweet did not come back to bite him. We were
I was
all
worried about
it, I know, but ends up working out for them anyways. Look, Simplicity make it look really easy here. Nemesis clearly just was not up to their caliber today.
And I don't know, I'm a bit surprised by that, because when we were talking about this just at the beginning of the set, I really had confidence in this being a very close encounter. On paper, these 2 teams are arguably very good and very close, but Simplicity just played way better.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Nemesis has looked good, but even in the PS4 NA scene, they had some stumbles. They didn't lose any games. They had a lot of 3-game sets against teams that weren't as talented as them. I don't think that they looked like they were playing their best coming into this event, and I think they came out of it not playing their best either.
So tomorrow, then, we do get to see Simplicity up against Sanguine after that one, too. I'm kind of excited to see that.
Me too. Me too. Sanguine, I think, looked great today. Obviously, Simplicity did as well. Now, Rival did give Sanguine some trouble. Maybe, you know, with Simplicity absolutely dominating their competition, maybe that means that Simplicity should be the favorites. I don't know. It's going to be fun to watch. I know that much.
Definitely will be, but there's not a whole lot of game tape for either of those teams to really look back at overall. But that's it from Simplicity. It's a 2-0. Desk, what do you have to say about it?
That's what I have to say about it. Bang! 22 minutes, 2 games. Well, the second game was 22 minutes. Hot damn. That's really all I got to say. These guys have been fantastic. And this one goes their direction. So 2-0, man. What do you have to say? Is it really that simple?
I mean, a little bit, actually, because the game was relatively close in the... Giving me that look, Tom, and he was referring to the name, obviously. I hate you. Anyway, as I was breaking down this game number 2, the game was relatively close in terms of the kill count, but it didn't translate well in terms of the gold count. There was more a neutral camp control in the mid camps, the oracles going the way of Simplicity. Also, they had a huge advantage in the totem of Q counter, just eventually stacking up. They kind of flexed their item advantage. Faeles felt so comfortable that he built into the Soul Eater, trying to synergize a little bit more with that Pele lifesteal. And then going forward, even more like StreakUp on the Chronos, ending at 5-0-5, doing a lot of work on this Chronos. That was first pick, giving up the Merlin on purpose to Nemesis and still doing a really good job.
Fantastic stuff here. Like you said, the Merlin certainly stood up on its, or at least tried to stand up on its own 2 legs, but it was Deathpanter on the classic Hunter mid that really worked out. StreakUp, the LAN newbie. He comes through and absolutely shows up. Look at that 180. Come on, man. What are you trying to do to me? StreakUp walks away.
This is why Chronos is just so popular. He's able to turn around a 1v2 gank, survive, and still get a kill. Very good stuff coming out of him, ending the game at 5-0-5.
Faeles looked strong as well, and you mentioned the kills were there. Nemesis brought what it had as far as the violence is concerned, was able to find some of the kills here, 10-3, well, 7 separated. But it was really the stuff after the stuff. What a large lead, 15,000 at certain points of the game. I mean, this was just really strong stuff coming out from the guys across the way. And Simplicity, make it look that simple. Come out, they play well. You heard Genetics earlier during the pregame. He said, compared to Armada, you know, they're just 5 guys that are really good at SMITE. Us too, also, they bring this like next level, he says. And from here we saw it. You know, we saw the X's and O's. We saw just the dominance out of it. And really, like I said, I think my favorite point here is Faeles. We've seen him do, you know, I'll call a spade a spade. We've seen him do poorly in the Pro League. And to see him kind of stand up here and play really well, a lot of fun stuff to see on the side of Simplicity. That said, they take 2 games to none. And standing by for the post game, we've got Genetics and maniaKK to talk to.
All right, boys, congrats on your win up against Nemesis. I mean, you guys made it look easy. I know you're a confident team, but did you expect it to be that easy? I mean, you guys breezed through them.
I mean, talking for myself, yeah, I think so. We all thought it was going to be this easy, I think. I mean, no disrespect, obviously, but, you know, coming from SML, and I don't think they don't get that much practice on where they play, so I think, yeah, I think we're expecting an easy game.
So I'm going to move on straight to tomorrow because there's no point talking more about that one. You guys are going to face off against Sanguine tomorrow, and they're another minor league team just like yourselves from North America. They've put through the paces. How do you feel your matchup's going to be against those guys?
I think it's definitely be a lot closer. I think generally the level of practice in SML is usually that they're a lot nearer buff timers. I think Nemesis gave up quite a lot of buffs compared to what SML teams gave to. So I imagine Sanguine will be ready to fight when we're there to invade their stuff.
Is there any player from Sanguine that stood out to you guys? I know Shinto, their mid laner, did a lot of stuff today and looked pretty good. I mean, they had a sub in the solo lane, maniaKK. What did you see from him, and was he able to adapt and look pretty good today?
I mean, their mid laner played amazing. I mean, I think everyone was expecting that already. So, but I mean, the solo laner, I guess he doesn't have much experience. I mean, he does have some experience because I know he played like back in season 1, I think. But obviously, like it's a huge. I mean, they need their. I mean, I think they still need their solo laner to do well. So I don't know. I think that's a huge miss here for them. So maybe I think we're gonna win anyway. But yeah.
obviously coming to the tournament, you guys are always hoping to try and end up #1 and win the whole thing. But what is your realistic expectations in terms of how you think you'll perform in this tournament? What is a victory for you guys like at this LAN?
We've come in hoping to play against Dig, so coming out first on the lower bracket. And the team's different. Everyone's different. Some people are here for just for the money that they get from the lower bracket. I'm here to try and take games off of SPL and see how we stack up against the rest of the league.
What about you, maniaKK?
Can you say the question again? I was so distracted.
Just regarding like what your expectations are for this tournament. What will be a victory for you in this tournament?
Well, first let's win tomorrow, and then I hope we win against Armada as well. And then from there on, I think it's just a win for us, right? I mean, we have the only expectations we have. I mean, at least I think we do. Yeah. It's like just win the gauntlet or whatever you call it, and then maybe a win against Dig if we come first place, and then maybe I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, because they have so much practice here. Like we barely practice against good teams, so I don't know. We'll see. Let's see how all this goes.
Well, congratulations on the victory today. Best of luck tomorrow. Back to the desk.
And right there, you hear Genetics. So Genetics has been a good mouthpiece for this team, I think, kind of talking about how confident they are. maniaKK trying to keep it focused here, but, at the end of the day, I think that this is a confident team, and they have every right to be. And you've got all the superlatives and all the flavor and all the flair, and if you want to grab some of the flair yourself, you can. You like that one?
I like
New chest, Biohacker. Get the new Biohacker Kali and Biohacker Chernobog skins right now. You can roll that in a chest.
Yeah, and then with this done, this last fourth set of the day, this means that Simplicity is going to go to advance up against Sanguine.
Which should be tough. I think Genetics kind of nailed it there, which is Sanguine are a good team, and had Sanguine had their solo laner, I think this would be a much larger conversation with Hardcore out. By no means do I think it's an auto roll, but this should be an interesting one. Hype unit, Armada. Listen, Armada is a strong team, totally, but I'm sitting here and, I would love to see it.
Yeah.
I think it is probably the largest upset in our bracket, but it's something I'd love to see.
We need something to challenge Paladins, right? Because they had a minor league team go the distance and beat out 3 Premier League teams. That'll be a sight to see if there's going to be a console team that could do the same thing.
It would be pretty nuts, man. That said, we've had a fine start to our MSI here, the midseason invitational. Totally, what was a standout moment for you here?
I think it was just how dominant both Armada and Simplicity were.
See, for me, I'm on the other side, man. I liked watching Hype Unit do it, and like I said, I think it's a tall task, but if Hype Unit take one game, it'd be crazy. Armada, though, came out and made everybody know how good they were. That's going to wrap up our day here, Midsummer Invitational. Day 1 of just a couple. We've got a couple more throughout the rest of the week. That said, tomorrow we'll start at 11, but that's going to be patch notes. That's mid-season patch notes, the big one. A lot of changes. You're going to want to tune into that. If you're just looking for the competition, we're right back here at 1 p.m. Atlanta time. My name's Tom Badiger. That's Anatoly Alexeyev and everybody else around here. There's plenty of names and plenty of faces that keep us standing up. You guys, though, are why we do it. Thanks for hanging out and chat. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace and much love to you.